This is Dennis McMahon, and welcome to Positively Vermont. This is our first show of the new season, Fall 2025, and I'm honored to have as my guest today Kate Gluckman, the Director of Development and Communications for Vermont Works for Women. Welcome, Kate.
Dennis, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
First of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Vermont in the Morrisville area and in the Glover area, and have always, loved Vermont. And I am currently living in North Troy, Vermont, so right on the our northern border. And Yeah, I'm new to Vermont Works for Women. Actually, I just started in this position about a month ago, but I've been working with the organization for over 2 years now through a coalition called Serve, Learn, Earn, which is a workforce development coalition. So I knew all about the projects, knew all about the staff, but now get to call myself a member of the team, which I'm excited about.
That's great. Well, actually, several years ago, Positively Vermont recorded a program on Vermont Works for Women, and a lot has happened since then. But tell us a bit about the history of the organization.
Sure. Yeah. So Vermont Works for Women was started in 1987, really focused on supporting and promoting women in the trades. And since then, we have grown and we continue to support women in the trades. But really, our mission today is promoting economic justice through gender equity and helping women and youth through every stage of their career. And so we serve about 1,500 people a year in youth programming, in our adult programming. And then we are also working with employers and schools to make sure that they have equitable learning and working environments also.
Right. Well, tell us a little bit about the term trades. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. So, we use the term really broadly. Mostly, though, when we're talking about the trades, we're talking about the building trades. So, plumbing, electrical, construction. But we're also talking about trades that are really important to Vermont right now in terms of our climate goals and making sure that our most vulnerable neighbors have a healthy and warm place to live. So, we're talking about weatherization. We're talking about solar install, heat pump install. So it's sort of broadened to include some of those more green energy jobs as well. But we also talk to a lot about advanced manufacturing and the manufacturing field in general. What we're really focused on is making sure that we're promoting jobs for women that are high wage, high growth areas in Vermont. So those are the ones that we're focusing on mostly in our programs.
Could you give us a little picture about the employment of women situation in the state as it compares to the general issue of employment and what difficulties women have faced in this economy?
Sure. So, I mean, we are still, feeling the impacts of COVID-19, right, on women in the workplace. And so COVID-19, because of the extra demands of childcare and at home schooling, women were impacted far greater than men here in Vermont, and have been slow to return to the workforce. And so here in Vermont, we just got new numbers is that there's still a wage gap for women over men, 86 cents to a dollar. So
Mm.
there's work that we should be doing around promoting women in high wage jobs. So it's not only, I think historically, perhaps people have looked at the wage gap and said, oh, men are getting paid more than women for the same work. But what we're really seeing is more about occupational segregation. So there are more women in low wage jobs than there are in high wage jobs. And so that's part of our approach is saying that we need to get women into these trades, into these advanced manufacturing jobs because they are high wage, high growth. And we know historically women have been directed away from these jobs. So we call them non traditional fields because traditionally women haven't been included and they haven't been welcoming, inclusive spaces for women to work in.
Well, a lot of those trades require not only special training, but special licensing and regulations based upon training. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so our main trades training program is a program called Trailblazers. And Trailblazers is a 7-week program that provides women entry level skills and credentials to be able to go into a wide array of trades. So we're doing credentials like OSHA 10, which is about workplace safety, but also women can get credentialed their credential for EPA 608, which is heat pump installation, credential through a partnership with Vermont Adult Learning. But many of our participants go on to entry level positions in a construction company, HVAC, electrical, and are connected through their employers into apprenticeships. So that's where they're getting the higher degrees of credentials or going back to get those. So really our programs are about getting women in, and then the employers are doing continual training with them. Yep.
Could you describe what opportunities are there for women in what fields in the state and what the demand seems to be? Is it in farming? Is it in construction? Is it in safety? All of those, is in road building. Tell us a little bit about the economic picture and the
All of those and
opportunities.
more. All of those and more. I mean, that's the thing is that, you know, we know Vermont is in a housing crisis, right? And part of that housing crisis is that we don't have the workforce to build the houses, to repair the houses, to weatherize the houses that we need. So we see tremendous growth opportunities in all of the building trades. We also see it in infrastructure building. So whether that is road building or heavy equipment training that can move dirt for projects, there are countless opportunities. One of our strongest partnerships is with the Department of Transportation, right? So both private firms as well as government are seeking employees in all of these fields, and women are can become really valuable and tremendous additions to teams.
What about the role of trade associations and labor unions?
Yeah, so it's really interesting is that Vermont does not have a extremely strong union presence here.
Mhm.
Many of the other states that we look at, we're seeing unions helping to promote apprenticeships, helping to recruit more women into the trades. But Vermont doesn't have that presence as much. And so we are working really closely with individual employers or for instance associated contractors of Vermont or associated builders of Vermont, which are industry groups, to make sure that they are including women, reaching out specifically to women, and then making their spaces really welcoming and inclusive.
In addition to the private sector, what types of relationships do you have with the many towns in the state and
Yeah.
cities in the state, county governments, any governmental input?
Yeah. So our Trailblazers program rotates to different sites around the state. And so just like last year, we were in South Burlington, Hartford, Newport, Swanton, Brattleboro. So really all over. And the only way we're able to do that is through partnerships with community organizations, towns, governments in those areas. And so we really rely on those relationships to provide spaces for us to train and teach, to connect us with local employers, to help us recruit in those areas. So we're working, across the state with those partners. Specifically, we work a lot too with our career and tech education centers. And so our youth programming is really focused on exposing girls and gender expansive youth to careers in the trades. And one of the things that we do is encourage them to apply to their career tech centers. We have wonderful career tech centers across the state, but in non-traditional fields, very few girls are attending those programs. And so we want them to really understand what's available to them, what they can do, get them comfortable. So we bring them in for a day. They get to try hands-on activities in all the programs, meet the instructors, and hopefully then when they're in their first or second year of high school, they'll apply and attend.
And speaking of schools, what relationships do you have with schools, colleges, universities?
Yeah, so we do a lot of work with our K-12 schools. So we have programs that are focused both on middle school students as well as high school students. Actually, upcoming in October, we're really excited to do our 26th year of a one-day program called Women Can Do, which is for high school girls and gender expansive individuals to come. And it's at I keep forgetting what their names are. The University of Vermont at Randolph, or it used to be the Tech College, right? But it's a one-day event where girls get to interact with employers from across the state and try hands-on activities. So they could operate an excavator, they can do welding, they can do the flight simulation, they could do practice medical skills with some of our medical employers. So this is a really great opportunity to expose girls and youth to all of these amazing careers that they can have in Vermont. But so we're working mostly with those younger students and then with adult women looking to enter the workforce. So don't do a whole lot directly with our colleges, except mostly our tech college and Randolph, because they host the plumbing and electrical apprenticeship program for the state. And so we are constantly trying to connect women to that program.
That's great. What about cooperation with some of the large employers in Vermont?
Yeah, so that's who in some essence we're serving, right? We serve the women who want to enter these fields, and we're working with employers to help them find great employees and to make sure that their workplaces are inclusive and welcoming so that they can retain women that they hire. And so across everywhere we go with Trailblazers, we're connecting to employers. One of the neat things that we offer is that at the final 2 weeks of Trailblazers, we offer a paid work experience to our partners. So we partner with an employer who is looking to hire usually, and we pay the participant, but they go and they work for these employers. And it's a great opportunity for our employers to meet this person, get a sense of what they are like as a worker, share about their company, and that makes a hiring process really low risk, right? Because you sort of get to try them out for 2 weeks before offering a job.
And what kind of cooperation do you have or need from governments such as the state or the legislature or the federal government?
Yeah, so we work really closely with the Department of Labor as well as the Agency of Education, right? And the Department of Labor is working with people to get them employed just like we are. And so we often work with them hand in hand in that they might have a client they're working with that needs some training, wants to get into the trades. And so they'll refer them to our Trailblazers program. We also work with Hireability, which is the vocational rehabilitation program for the state of Vermont. So we're always working together. They are funders of our programs, and our executive director, Ronnie Basden, sits on the state workforce development board as well as the state apprenticeship board. So she is advising the state often on policies and practices that would encourage and promote women's involvement in the workforce.
What about your volunteers? Are some of them employed, or do we have some people who might be mentors who have been in the trades? Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your volunteers.
Well, yeah, we utilize volunteers for many of our programs, and the sense of mentorship is really important for women who are going into a field where they might not see a lot of other women there. And so we think connecting them with tradeswomen who have history in the field, who have lots of experience, can be mentors to them is really important. So that's part of what we do in Trailblazers. And then we also are creating opportunities for women in the trades to build community. So, in partnership with Helm Construction, we're offering monthly what we call meetups. So, they are events across the state where women who are working in the trades can meet up together to talk about their experiences, to problem solve, to connect, to build community, because often they might be the only or one of very few women in their companies. And so, because many Vermont employers are small, they might just not have a lot of women on their teams. And so, we're really finding that these meetups are valuable, women enjoy them, and it's a way to build community and support each other in this field.
And tell us how many people are now involved in the organization.
So we have 15 staff members, but like I said, we serve over 1,500 people each year in all of our programs. So we have 5 different sort of buckets of programming. So we have youth programming that offers after school, summer, and vacation camps, exposing girls to the trades. We have our Trailblazers training program, right, which is serving adult women. We also have what we call our career and employment services, which is where we work one-on-one with women, coaching them around their careers and around employment. And so we're working with a very diverse group of women through that service. We also have our staff members who work directly with schools and employers on building inclusive work environments. And so that's our gender equity services. They also are doing a lot of presentations around educating people around gender equity. And then lastly, we have staff members who work directly with women who are involved in the justice system. So those women who are currently in facility, we offer one-on-one coaching, we offer skill building, and then as they transition out of facility, we are looking to help them reintegrate into community and help them around finding a job. So those are the 5 ways that we really serve Vermont.
That's great. So you actually go into women's prison facilities and
Yes.
work with those women.
Yep, we have. So in Vermont, we have one women's facility in
Hmm.
Chittenden County, and so we
Hmm.
work there. Hmm.
That's great. Now, one of the things we like to ask about on Positively Vermont is what do you need? What do you need from the public? What do you need? This show kind of goes nationwide in parts. What do you need from corporations? What do you need from the government?
Yeah.
So give us an example of sort of a list of how people can help.
Sure. Well, thank you for that opportunity. We are always looking for volunteers. So, our Women Can Do conference that's coming up in early October, and that is an opportunity to volunteer. So, if you're interested in volunteering, just a one day in Randolph to help girls expose them, help them participate in these activities, then you can always reach out. Our email address that I want to share is just info@vtworksforwomen.org, or our website, which is again VT, so like the Vermont just those two letters, VT, worksforwomen.org. There are other opportunities for volunteering too throughout the year. And so if you reach out, we'll put you on a list and keep you updated around what opportunities are coming. The other things, ways that we can help, we are funded through grants, through and also philanthropy, but also individual donations. So we are always looking for folks to support our work financially. So one of the things that has been difficult is recently there has been the cuts of federal funding, both because of us being associated with diversity, equity, inclusion training. There has been some funding that has been cut from the federal government, but also there's been general cuts just to workforce development. And so these are initiatives that we know are really incredibly important in Vermont. We need to continue to build our workforce. And so we're looking to find other ways to fund those programs. So donations are always welcome. But lastly, too, I would just say, to be thoughtful about the ways that you see women showing up in your workplace. So if there are ways that you think that Vermont Works for Women could help make your workplace more inclusive, more welcoming, then we would love to partner and see if we have resources that might be helpful for you. If you have a young woman or gender expansive individual in your life that needs some exposure to different ideas around careers, reach out to us. So any ways that we can help, we would love to. So connect with us in that way.
That's great. Well, what about the changes we see nationally about AI and different workplace situations, sort of the future? What ideas do you have about the future of employment for people in general, but women in particular?
Yeah, we definitely know that AI will cause like a workplace revolution. We have some serious concerns around the biases that are inherent in some of those AI models, and whether that is influencing how they are helping people write, how they're helping people think, how they're used in terms of giving feedback to someone. There's some real concerns there around gender equity and implicit bias that sort of gets baked into those systems. But more broadly, we know that AI will change the types of jobs that are available. However, we still need to build things, and AI can't build physical things yet. And so we think that these trades jobs and the advanced manufacturing jobs that are directly connected to AI, they're going to be high growth in Vermont for a very long time. And so we feel really confident about encouraging women to go into those jobs because they will remain in such high demand. But we are working with some of our tech companies here in the state, like Global Foundries, on microchip manufacturing, right? We're very excited around the tech manufacturing that's in the state and do see great career paths in those fields for women as well.
That's great. Tell us a little bit about the agricultural sector, which we pay a great deal of attention to, and we'll be meeting with the secretary soon. Tell us how women work in agriculture and how your group impacts on that.
Yeah, so we haven't done a lot of work specifically with agriculture. Many of our women who come into Trailblazers have an agriculture background and are either looking for advanced skills that to help them in that field. So being able to build stuff is obviously helpful in agriculture. Others are looking for a pivot in career because they love the work of working with your hands and being outside that agriculture provides, but the wages in the agriculture field are not as high as they are in the building trades. And so they're looking and seeing similar work, but much better pay for that work. And so we see many women pivoting away from agriculture towards the building trades more. But also, too, we've worked with groups of new Americans who are often coming in through the agriculture sector, working with them on career and employment skills. So that might be resume building, might be interviewing, coaching, helping them find jobs as well that are have good pay and have a good growth plan to them. So there's a couple ways that we're touching the ag sector, but we haven't worked like directly with many ag employers or producers.
Well, the year is coming to a rapid end. It's September 1 already. What are your plans for the rest of the year and as we go into next year when the legislature will reconvene?
Yeah. So we're very excited, right? We have that Women Can Do event coming up on October 9th. Before that, we're starting our next cohort of Trailblazers in Linden on September 30th. And we still have a few spots available there. So if you're in the Linden area and you're interested, reach out info@vtworksforwomen.org. And then, yeah, we are thinking about the legislative session. We work hard on our advocacy, trying to think about what practices and policies we need to push the state to adopt. We're thinking very seriously around the education transformation that's happening and how can the restructuring that will happen help more girls get into the CTE centers and make that available to them and the importance of that. We're really thinking too about our work in the correctional facility. The correctional facility is in dire need of renovation. There are subhuman conditions that those women are dealing with that need to be remedied right now. There has been work happening for many years around a new facility, and that's something that we continue to push the state to get done. And to incorporate more career and workforce development training within the facility where women might be able to leave to work or leave to train or have training be brought in, because right now it's super limited. So that's another thing that we're really focused on encouraging the state to do. And then also we need continued support for our workforce development training, especially around the trades. And so we want there to be more support from the state around pre-apprenticeship programs like Trailblazers, and helping us expand the number of women we can work for. So we are really, focused on those three things: is, education, promoting CTEs, getting more workforce development in facility for women in the justice system as they transition out, and additional support for pre-apprenticeship programs across the state.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Kate. And we're going to be following you as the year progresses and also some of your projects come along. And thank you for being on Positively Vermont.
Thank you so much, Dennis. And you can hear all about our stuff. We're on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, and then our website as well, vtworksforwomen.org. Thanks so much for
Excellent.
this opportunity.
Excellent. We'll put that on in the show notes. That's
Great.
wonderful. Well, thank you very much. My guest today has been Kate Gluckman, the Director of Development and Communications for Vermont Works for Women. Thank you for watching.